A very good day to you. Welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jadil Kabir. I'm excited that you've joined us this Sunday for a political conversation. These conversations are simple, truthful, prof putting them across in a hard-hitting way. How are you doing today?
Good.
How have you been?
Wonderful.
Long time no see. Ulipotea wapi?
Tuko area hii Kenya hii. Jua ni kali, tunaenda kwa forest kujificha.
We want to have this conversation because I listened to your Saturday video. You're speaking about the state of politics as it is. The question you were asking Kenyans is whether they believe Ruto will finish this first term of his. And I just want to start from there because we are looking at Rigathi Gachagua saying people are working day and night, and it seems like the opposition are trying to bring a lot of politics while they're struggling to build the economy. Who's firstly bringing the politics from your side? Because they're saying they're dealing with the economy, but the politics is hindering them from doing their job.
If you are to ignore the Raila rallies, because this is a very recent development, and go back from the day William Ruto took the presidency, and come with it perhaps just up to when Raila starts his rallies. Who was generating politics in the country? Was it not Ruto and Gachagua? Was it not they who kept reminding Kenyans the elections are not over? Who has been talking about you had deep state, you had system, mzee wa kitendawili, watu, kuzimia. It is them who have been saying all these things. And even when you compare with Raila's rallies, what would you say about the persistent, consistent and stubborn attack on the Uhuru family business in matters of taxation? And most recently, the manner in which Uhuru's security was withdrawn, or to use their own words, scaled down. Who is generating politics in this country? Is it not the president and his deputy?
I want to know, because you're speaking about Uhuru's Kenyatta family, themselves speaking about taxation, also the security scaled down.
Yes.
They have gotten into power now and they're thinking about building the country, and they're looking at some of the wrongs that were done before. How should they have handled, let's say, even the security issue itself? Because if you scale down, it brings politics, and they say, well, he had more officers than he actually needed, high-ranking officers than he actually deserves.
But you see, look here. It is 6 months since Uhuru left office. Have you just discovered today? They say he had about 120 police guarding him, whatever they are called. Was this so difficult to count? 1 up to 120. It takes you 6 months to count 1 up to 120. Then you say, this guy has a lot. So people read it, these things are placed within context because it's politics. Why are you withdrawing Uhuru's security, withdrawing or scaling down, whatever language you want to use, at a time the Azimio rallies are picking up? People then tie this together. They add 2 and 2. There's a number they get. Yeah.
So you say people perceive it that way.
Yes.
Could that be actually the reality? Because
that must most likely be the reality.
And what then goes?
Because again, people are saying it's not even so much Uhuru and Matiang'i. It is Raila they are after.
How so?
That is a smoke screen. So that when they finally go for Raila security and everything else, it is a game that will have started earlier. You started with Matiang'i, Kibicho, Uhuru and the rest, Mama Ngina. Then when you go for Raila, nobody can. It will be within the context of rationalizing deployment of security.
What is the goal? What could be the goal? Because if you're now interfering or probably making changes in someone's security, scaling down on them, what could be the goal in this Kenya Kwanza government if you try to do?
I think it's to scare. I think it's to send scare to the opposition leaders, to scare them and their followers, especially co-principals, people around them. So you are scaring somebody like Alonso, who is guarded perhaps in his Nairobi home. He has a home in Yatta. Then there's a famous Sheikulu. And now he's beginning to see now those could be withdrawn. People very easily scare. The problem with these big people, I don't regret not being big. The problem with big people, they have come to think life without some of these things is not life. They never pause to ask, how do Herman Manyora live?
Despite
they are used to so many of these, so much to these things, they can't see life without them. You wake up, you are home, somebody opens your gate, You don't know who pays him. You know, you want to send somebody somewhere, there's a vehicle there, you don't know who pays for it, who has fueled it. You get so used to it that you can't see life without that. So these guys can be scared. Somebody did a research, and I've told you before, where he said judges retiring from the Commonwealth in the 60s and 70s and around that time, going back home in the UK, and now having to live in a flat, like a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom flat, and they were living in Mudavadi or somewhere like that, or Karen, the Karen of Ghana or of Nigeria, the Karen of Kenya. They never went to the post office. They never knew how their mail went or came. They never knew who paid the water bill or water came from, electricity. They never knew anything. Now you are in a flat and you just die. They just died 2, 3, 4 years. So these guys could be scared. And they could be less active in the Azimio push for change. It's possible.
Could that also be a point within Ruto's government, try to scare Uhuru Kenyatta from taking part in the Azimio because it's about taxes and now about security? Could that scare Uhuru?
I'm telling these people, they are so used to certain things, you can scare them. Secondly, these rich people, especially in the political space, public space, are so used not just to free things, they are so used to not spending a shilling. These billionaires, what would stop you from having your own security? What would it cost you? Better than the one even the government is giving you. Yeah. Even just ordinary people cooking for you in the home and cutting your glass. I have said before, to be a billionaire is a bad thing. You become a creature, not a human being. Because these billionaires, some of them are my friends. To spend even 10 shillings, a certain governor said, when he goes with a driver, we shall not name him, but he will be known. When he goes on an assignment and is with the driver the whole day, he gives him 20 shillings for lunch.
Oh, really?
Yeah. On the way to becoming rich, you learn not to spend. When money comes in, you smile. When 10 shillings goes out, you cry. You shed tears. So, the Hurus could be scared. They have the money to manage their own luxury, their own lifestyle. But I would not be surprised if these people can succumb to pressure merely because security will be withdrawn. But there's a danger here again. And I want this to reach government. I give advice for free. These guys should even, they should pay me a bit, honestly. I love my country and I give them free advice. I expect one day nione GK in a land hapa. Mzee hii bakora hii tumepewa utembele. Bakora ile nice and ile maternity. Unajua the maternity one? Is it A3 or A3? A3. Vitu dollars ndani. Anambia mzee, you are advising this country.
What are you telling them?
Supposing you withdrew Raila security, with this tension in the country, you know 100,000 people can go and guard Raila and Karen. 100,000 people can be there to guard him. And always deliver him wherever he's going in town.
Isn't that an exaggeration?
What is an exaggeration? It has happened elsewhere.
Will people really get out of the...
What are you talking about? If you withdraw Raila security and the word went around, this guy is unsafe, there will be 100,000 people to guard him and to work with him wherever he's going in town, to deliver him to any public rally and to any public office he's going to. 10,000 people. That's why I'm saying this government could be creating unnecessary trouble for itself.
But don't you think Ruto knows them? We had this conversation on these people being overrated. Don't you think Ruto knows? And that's why he actually defeated them in the polls. If him being in president is anything to go by, he's actually the president. Don't you think he knows? This is why he's making these moves, because you say actually, if he's reasoning reasonably, he wouldn't make such moves, but he still does, and he's still getting his way.
You know, I've said this. You know, I'm not a prophet. And I'm not giving scientific information. I look at things And I'm saying these are possibilities.
Yeah.
I have said on a show with you, I think, that some of these guys are overrated. And it could explain why Moi was able to rule this country for 24 years. When he was vice president, he could see these Kenyans and he knew they were useless people. They knew drunkards, people who love money, women. He knew they were useless and he was just waiting. And then he took presidency, using some of them to get. And he managed them for 24 years. He knew they were useless. So a lot of useless people in this country are in positions of leadership. They're so useless if you interacted with them. And then you wonder, are these the people I see on TV?
Yeah.
The people with the names are here.
The people with the crowds, actually.
Yeah. Some of them are very useless. So it could be true. It could be true.
Yeah.
Ruto is just looking at them and laughing.
And
yeah, it's possible.
Your analysis from a reasonable perspective,
Yes.
they will not see it. The Railas,
They may not see it. Look, I don't watch football, and I want to give you the reason why. Like everybody else, Luo, Luya, we would always go to the stadium. And then after that, go to Hamza, Pumzika and such places. Or Isili, Pumzika. There's another joint in Hamza, I've forgotten.
Yeah.
And we have lost. Everybody is saying the referee, Difari, not even referee. Difari alinunuliwa. That was offside, not even offside. Offside. Now, that Bennett, not even penalty. Okay. They never saw where we went wrong. Of course, I was FC Leopard.
Yeah.
Those days it was called Baluya.
Oh.
And then, no, me, I was during the times of, Baluya a bit.
And then
AFC, my youth, when I was now a young man. Baluya, when I was think a kid. No, I was even not a kid. Because these tribal names were moved by Moi, and Moi came to power 78. I wasn't a kid.
Oh.
So, they will fail to see why we got it wrong. We would be in Isili on a Friday until late in the night, up actually morning. People say wee hours of the morning, of the day, whatever.
Yeah.
With somebody who is a player of AFC. And the following day, the guy will be fielded because the coach or the manager will succumb to pressure from the girls who love this guy, and I don't want to mention him. He was drinking with them. Then we lose. You make silly mistakes. You lose a game, but you don't want to see. You are talking of oxide and the rest of those things. Difari has been bought. So, let's say there was stealing of. This election, I've said, was not free and fair. And you cannot move me from there. And I can show anybody who cares to listen to me. You can have a debate and I'll prove my point. This election was anything but free and fair. I don't even agree with the decision from the Supreme Court, but I respect it. I've said all those things.
Yeah.
However, even with that, I have said, if this election on the side of Azimio was better organized, they would have won that election with or without those games that were played against them. So the question is this: would they learn from that and now organize this movement they have started in a different way? If the campaign lacked a structure, would they now make this a structured movement to remove Ruto or whatever, just go for justice?
Okay.
If that campaign was about one individual, will it now be a team? If the campaign was about Raila Odinga, will it now be about leadership? Will they strategize to come up with something like 202, where removing Moi from power was not about Kibaki? It was about a leadership. Kenya without Moi, Kenya without Kanu. Would they now focus away from an individual or a group of individuals, politicians, to the leadership that can create a national movement similar to Rainbow? These are questions they must answer. Otherwise, Ruto will just manage them like kids.
No, when you hear Raila says Ruto toka ikulu baba ingienda,
Yes.
it must come from that structure.
Yeah. It's not something you can't just talk. How does Ruto just live? Because I've said before, even where street impeachment, where people have spilled in the streets and our government has left, like Sudan, Egypt, the rest, people never benefit from that because it was not structured.
What next?
What next is always the bigger question. Yes, supposing you got 1 million people and Ruto left State House, if you are not organized, what next?
So it's one thing for Ruto
in Egypt,
to leave.
they did that, Tahrir Square, everything.
Yeah.
Yes, but in a matter of days and a short while, the Americans had managed to install something else. Because what has come of Sudan? Have you heard anything that has come from there?
Not really.
So it's a question of how organized, how well structured the movement would be. As to convince me, it is different from the election they ran. Let them not say the election was stolen. Yes, the election was not free and fair. But neither was their approach to the election. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good place to wrap up. I guess we have to wait and see the structure they'll come up with. But indeed, we do talk again. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.